having a clear understanding of psychology, evolutionary psychology, you talk a lot about that. Could you share just, hey, guys watching this, I have no idea what he's talking about. What the hell is evolutionary psychology and how does that play into where we are, and as we navigate our lives as men in this day and age?
So the best way to understand evolutionary psychology is just to work backwards and work backwards up to where we are now. So let's go to a beginning point. So for this discussion, we could have a beginning point of mammals, which is about 178 million years ago, a beginning point of hominids, which would include Homo habilis, Homo erectus, all these other hominids. That would be about 3 million years ago. Or we could look at the origin of Homo sapiens, which is the species we belong to. That would be about 200,000 years ago. The question you have to ask yourself is, so there's probably points during our evolutionary history where survival was very, very tough. No electricity, no running water, no medical care services. You're basically on your own. No one's going to come to save you. And you live in a tribe of about 150 people. During those time periods, you have to realize that, there's not even 50,000 humans on the planet at one point. You have to imagine at that time period, if there was a plague or if there was a predator or something like that, it could wipe out the entire species. And if you look, there's 14 other species of hominid that have been wiped out, including Homo neanderthalis and Homo habilis and Homo australis. They were all wiped out. So everything that we have with us today was a tool in our toolkit that aided us in survival back during that ancestral period. If you can start from understanding that conclusion I just gave you is totally inescapable, that must be true, because it must be true, then you understand, okay, fear of snakes, fear of heights, fear of spiders, prefer women with symmetrical faces and a certain hip to waist ratio. Women prefer men with a shoulder to waist ratio. The women prefer men taller than them. Resource acquisition, all these kind of things, paternity, uncertainty. You realize, okay, these things all came from our ancestors. And so like for instance, humans don't eat poop. The humans that may have existed that ate poop, they all died of dysentery or whatever the fuck, and they did not pass on their genes. Men who were not a little bit jealous and somewhat mate guarding of their wives, of their mates, ended up raising other people's children. So the men who were more, it's really funny because this part of Sexy Sons hypothesis, men who were more promiscuous and slept with more women and at the same time were more jealous of other men being around their girlfriends, they passed on their genetics more. It's an inescapable conclusion. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but it is an inescapable conclusion. If the thing that the proclivity keeps causing that phenotype to have more children, then that proclivity is going to get passed on through evolution. And so since like 200,000 years of evolution is enough, to be fair, like monkeys are also afraid of snakes. Like there's a lot of things between other primates and other mammals in general. If you put fire in front of a cat, it's going to run away. Like there's certain things that as mammals, we kind of all have in common. We jump at loud noises. We tend to have a fear of heights, etc. We can smell foul odors like sulfur and we don't want to be around them. So when you come to those realizations, then you start to ask the question, okay, which one of my preferences or proclivities come from evolution and which one of them come from culture? And then you dig even deeper and you come up to this really scary you come to this really scary realization, Fabian, which is all of them do. Every single proclivity we have is based in evolution. Then you're like, well, but no, culture this and culture that. And you'll see this with movies that try to promote a more egalitarian nature. And by the way, I'm very much in favor of that. I'm very much in favor of, I think women should vote and I believe in civil rights. Like I don't have a problem with that. What I'm telling you is that it was not innate in our design for those things. What happened was culture elevated us as a species to where we could accomplish those goals. But the problem is culture then tries to do things like make, for instance, body positivity is a situation. And I'm not shaming body positivity. What I am saying is it's okay to accept someone because they're overweight, but it's not okay to tell me as a man that I need to find them attractive because that defies my evolution. And so that's where, I kind of draw the line with certain aspects of that. And so, a lot of what I just said is when you come to the realization that you can basically look at every situation with humans through an evolutionary lens and you can usually find the answer. In fact, I really haven't found a situation where I haven't found the answer. Every single question when it comes to evolution, I can find some theory that at least, mostly explains it. There's a few things that are a little confusing, but for the most part, it's one of the most top. As far as psychology goes, psychology is what's called a soft science, meaning there's a lot of theories. Most of them aren't tested. people could do way more studies, but it's a very fungible, very like vague science, except this one area of psychology called evolutionary psychology, where they're consistently looking for hard data, no matter where the data takes them. And often it takes them to very ugly places, which is why it's not a broadly accepted branch of psychology. And you often see people on YouTube saying evolutionary psychology is bigoted. No, it's just a psychology. It's just a science. The science leads us to where it leads us. I'll give you an example. There's one study by an evolutionary psychologist where he looked at the success of on dating apps based on what your race was. And so, you know, the egalitarian would be like, either don't look this data up or everyone should receive the exact same amount of right swipes based on their race. And of course, that wasn't the truth. He published the study and he was absolutely eviscerated for it. He found that Asian men and African American women do the worst on dating apps. And he published the study and he lost his tenure. And he ran for the hills after that. So it's one of these things where in evolution, we just kind of try to figure out in evolutionary studies, if there's an ugly truth, which the truth is, guys, sorry, there is no free will and we are hairless murder apes. Once you come to these realizations, it's ugly. So evolutionary psychology also does not receive widespread acclaim because liberals don't like it, because evolutionary psychology clearly defines gender roles, and conservatives don't like it because it's evolution. And a lot of them don't believe in evolution. So it has no political backing. The psychology community doesn't like it. It's very ugly. It's one of these things that it's just one of these uncouth things you shouldn't be talking about at the dinner table. And it's also completely factual.